Why, hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to your reading, your intuitive reading. I'm your intuitive, Susan. That's my name. And this is tarot and astrology for the month of June, also Gemini season. For Sagittarius risings, this is in your 7th house. So you're getting a lot of 7th house activations, as well as 5th house. There are some things that we are going to take a look at, love being first and then money. So something that is really important for you to acknowledge with yourself is, excuse me, to take a look in your life where you sometimes overcompensate in terms of being strong. We're going to talk literal with the strength card here. What being strong looks like to you. What does that require of you? What does that require you to value, right? You value a certain kind of strength. Well, what happens when that strength actually runs you dry? What happens when, although it would be easier to do it yourself, you can't anymore? So for the love section, this is relationships, not just romantic, the one with yourself. So it's possible that you need to learn to gain the strength to ask for help. This could be financially. This could also be how you want to be valued and how you've been valuing yourself and others, and you're getting a very clear reflection of what that looks like. Now, Sagittarius risings, we have Leo. Mars is still in Leo, still will be for most of Gemini season. And then on the 17th, we'll go into your 10th house. So right now it's in your 9th house. Your 9th house is exploring in a way that is perhaps having you realize that there's conversations that you need to have with yourself. And on another level, you might have to do that hard work of extending. And you may see it extending yourself, extending your voice, extending your compassion in a way that reveals the strength that you gained with yourself for another in that form of generosity. Because for some of you, you love this season because it is chaotic. But if there is, if you're really taking a break from drama, you're not going to invite that into your life in one way or another. For some of you, it's going to be with relationships. With some of you, it will be with money. Usually you're excited for a bit of a change, unless you haven't been able to adventure, or you don't have a lot to look forward to. I would highly recommend putting things in your life to look forward to and reshaping the way that you value how you utilize your value and your energy, because it may be reshaping the way you think, your perception. And I don't think you're ultimately looking forward to this season unless you're coming out of winter and you're wanting hot weather, of course, because I know you like that. But finding your grounding is really important this month, with a lot going into your 7th house, and Jupiter's finally leaving your 7th house, which is amazing for you. And everything in Pisces is finally leaving your 4th house. There's so much to talk about with you. So with that, it's about right now, even in the relationships you have, to prevent any patterns like this from evolving. It might be a time where you do invite in a new relationship, whether it be romantic or not. Maybe you're starting to date more and more, or whatever it is. The new people that come into your life, you're able to set these boundaries. You're able to understand what you need for support, what that actually looks like. Because strength is Leo. Leo rules the heart. The sun rules Leo. The sun rules the back. So the back is about support, but the heart too, because it needs to be supported, right? So you used to, maybe at times you valued things because you had to. You had to value this about yourself, and you can still value something about yourself and still ask for help, because there's only so much you can do on your own. And this month will ask you to communicate perhaps some of the harder things, but it's because that's what's going to get you to feeling like this. Have you feeling like yourself in a way that you haven't felt. Sagittarius moons. Emotionally regulating through these conversations, even if you don't technically have like the upper hand or have much to say or have a response. It's okay to be able to sit on something. It's actually quite strong to say, you know what, I need a few minutes. Through my healing journey with Sagittariuses, there are some that can do this, and there's some, or this can be the struggle. And what I learned about this axis is that it's learning when to say things. And you may be so good at doing that with others or for others, or in a way where when it's you don't have to take accountability, when you actually have to take accountability for something, as long as it doesn't feel like an attack, a lot of you are easily approached, all depending on what is going on in your life. Regardless, this is about valuing yourself in your own relationship and the relationship you have with others, and seeing yourself as this person that is highly capable. You know that. And it's also important to receive, because there are parts of you that want to, there's this version of you that is giving in a way that is really productive, that gives you energy, that is a part of your authentic path. And there's way that you've been giving in a way that doesn't quite suit the role that you're in. And that will continue to transform as Mars goes into your 12th house for Sag risings. Either way, this is about illuminating the ways in which you need support, and that may look different now. That may look like, okay, I used to be generous in this way, but now I have to do this. And what I was going to say before is that can feel like a lot more work. But think of it like this. When you're ending a new job and starting another, before giving yourself space in between, give yourself that space in between perhaps, because then you won't feel quite burdened. You don't have to act on things right when you become aware of them, especially if you need time to integrate, let go, or process, depending on if it's a physical person that maybe you meet someone right away that you really like. If they can give you space and you can have that communication, great. If they can't, maybe they're not the person for you. So if you are, and especially if this is with a Leo, for some of you, this may have to do with some sort of relationship with a Leo, and and even how that relationship has helped you access the parts of you where you realize that there are ways in which you're changing in these relationships. You're changing with yourself. You're giving in different ways, and you're learning. And you may learn from someone having to say it to you first, perhaps. This is about also feeling secure within yourself, within your confidence in what you're capable of. It's not that you weren't, but this is also about ego. I'm just going to give this all the context that it deserves for you guys. Strength card, Leo card is also about ego. So there's a way in which you've been feeding your ego, or not feeding your ego, or feeding your ego that is actually just, the high, the instant gratification for the moment. And now you're learning to really secure within yourself and give yourself what you actually need. The words of affirmation, the support, because sometimes the support, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, no matter what it is, I'm going to do my best to explain this. What I've learned being an intuitive, I have a Sag North node, by the way. Thought that might be important. I have learned that your intuition just wants you to trust yourself enough to know are to trust yourself enough to make the decision, regardless if it's correct, to see what it unlocks inside of you. It's not necessarily the person. It could be the person. If you go see someone that can help you and they just have that energy, yes, it's the right person at the right time, but it's actually just the act of, especially if you have to pay for it and receive reciprocity, right? So in a way, if you have to pay for those hard conversations, and what I mean by pay for it means that they need a moment to process, they're having an emotion, they're not reacting the way you want or whatever it is, it's being patient and allowing this to process, because that is security within yourself. That you're not just communicating because you want to complain about something, right? You're communicating because you realize something that's really important and needs to be shared. And valuing that communication, even if it's messy or not, will allow you to feel so much stronger and capable within yourself. Something that I'm reminded of a lot, and forgive me if I've said this, but in neuroscience, when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're basically lying to yourself. The way they put it is that every time you say you're going to do something and you do it, you trust yourself. So, but I was actually chatting with my mom yesterday, and she was like, you're basically lying to yourself when you do that. It's like so true. You're lying to yourself when you don't follow through. And if you're unwilling to do the hard work of communication, and letting your guard down and letting yourself like be receptive to the information that you're even giving, or vice versa, that is what's going to transform anything. It doesn't really matter if it feeds your ego and that's all you want, then okay. But until you really have intention behind the communication, not just to get it over with or avoid it, then you could be this could be even public, the way that you learn in return, right? So it's really important that you give yourself space to acknowledge it, because I think it will just continue to open up doors for you and for your money, because Jupiter Sagittarius rising is leaving your 7th house finally, allowing you to process what you've learned. Sorry about that. In connection to learning, because Jupiter, your ruling planet, is learning, was sitting across from you in your one-on-one relationship. So what have you learned in the past year with the people that you're closest to, your most intimate connections, yourself, if you have clients, and legal shit? Taking a look at that will help you realize like where, because instant gratification is like a shortcut. So where in your life are you trying to take a shortcut in romance when, it's kind of like when we talked, when you're like, you say, like that you want romance, but it can feel kind of awkward for a lot of you. Not all of you, but a lot of the ones I've met. And it's really important to know, oh, it was just this light that was a little red on me. Okay. It's really important to know, and I'm bringing up this card because Jupiter is moving into Cancer, is because you're finally ending a pattern, and you're going to feel that even more come the 9th. And be way more open in the most abundant of ways if you continue to acknowledge this, because you may, for some of you, this could also be a Leo offering you support, and you taking it means that it's actually just bringing you to a more healed place with yourself. You, by the full moon, which is on the, didn't write down the date, sorry. The full moon, I have another spot where it is. It's on the 11th. Okay, so right after, perfect, right after, you'll probably experience this moment where you see that shadow super clearly. Like it's defined, it's outlined, you see it on the ground, it's your size. Okay, this is exactly what I need to see. This is what I've needed to experience in order to continue forward. There is more purpose here. I feel more like I can receive more now. And you'll continuously go through this process where you're letting go in order to receive more. And that will allow for your mental health to become a little bit more stable as well, if you haven't been having that stability there. But it's really important, Cancer in the 8th house, to express, and what will be brought up is some things that have been hidden in that shell. and processing through that fourth house. So there's just so much to talk about, but really it's just you're setting the ground precedent for a new foundation right now and every day moving forward. So even if you don't choose today, choose tomorrow for that support. Even if you say no today, say, is it okay if I ask you again tomorrow? Like don't put ultimatums on the ways that people can help you right now, because, or who it's from, because you may not know if that person has shifted at all. But also be wary and don't just jump the gun out of desperation either. So giving yourself a minute to acknowledge, process any information coming up, especially in your romance section, because there could also be a Sagittarius or Cancer that comes along the way. But I think it's like deep insight into your emotional healing and your connection for abundance and for love and for openness as you move forward in your life right now. Okay, Sagittarius, we are going to move on to money. So we have the Page of Pentacles, Death, the King of Cups, and the Hanged Man. What a transition. This is, I went with it. This is, I just got this new hairspray and I actually really fucking love it. Giovanni products are amazing and are so clean. Just throwing it out there. And I know, because I know you like to look into all that stuff. So speaking and talking about, even if it feels really uncomfortable, maybe again, going to see someone, and this is for your worth, this is for money, this is for your growth. Maybe you talk to someone that you deeply trust. Maybe it could be a Scorpio or a Virgo. Either way, if you're wanting a raise, whatever it is, you're finally gathering the courage, which is also the Strength card. Acknowledging all of this gives you this courage that is so authentic in the spot that you're in. You know, you don't see yourself in a place that you're not. You actually see yourself as, okay, I have gratitude that shit is changing. There's a lot transforming. You know, you have Scorpio in the 12th house for Sag risings. And there could be a lot of dreaming that has happened during Taurus season that brought up things about work or how things work or your day-to-day life and how you process, and you may need time to process. I would say, I know it's Gemini season, but what's coming to mind is less is more this month. Less is more. And seeing that in your life. Where can you see less is more? And not as it's like that's not an abundant energy. It's because like, where are you adding stuff or conversation or things where you don't need it anymore? We're kind of being asked to like really get rid of. And if you're going through a process of getting rid of shit, you are becoming even more emotionally secure with yourself. There is a transformation about maybe the way you talk to yourself, the way that you're being talked to at your job or amongst people that you value in your life, people that you work with if you do something on the side. There's just something really solidifying the path that you've chosen. And it might make you think, sorry about that noise, I make that a lot. It's because there's a lot of shifts into your 5th house of pleasure, romance, creativity. And whatever stopped you from continuously moving forward with this part of your life or feeling more pleasure, happiness, joy, has to perhaps do with, because these are the muscular system, the sex organs, this is the intestines, or Neptune is the feet. Moving forward. So moving forward looks like addressing something. So your money may have ties with how free you feel with yourself, with your muscles, so noticing how your body feels. And if you need to add strengthening, or because your body is so strong and very important. Everyone's body is, but is it tight? You know, where are you feeling in your body, in your muscular system, and what are you processing right now, right? What comes to mind is walking. walking and stretching could be really helpful. I know that Sagittarius is really usually like to go for it, but again, less is more. Being gentle with yourself can still build strength. So maybe you think the opposite, and that's totally fine, but that's just what I'm going to say is like less is more can also mean that like having more ease, you know, not as much yang, having a little bit more yin energy, being a little bit more receptive, instead of like, you know, you are a fire sign, you like to charge and make money, but there's this just receptive energy in this reading that is really being called to look at, because your money is shifting for the better and you're learning to find stability in ways that you no longer need to be excessive, right? So less is more, that think of more as excessive and less as abundance. Like taking a look at what is abundant in your life. Where are you not slowing down enough to allow yourself to acknowledge the transition that you're currently going through, the emotional upgrade and transformation that you're going through, and how that's going to allow for even more stable income, regardless of what the outside world says, Sagittarius. I just have this feeling you're going to have a really great idea or a good move. Good idea, meaning if you do your own thing, like you'll have some idea about marketing or how to put something out there, or becoming, even just how you're becoming more authentic. And then if you're at a job, if you're in a career, there's a confirmation of recognizing that you're wanting to grow and asking for more. Oh wow, look at that, came back up. Asking for more and being willing to receive it, you know. I guess that's the highlight of this episode of this reading. I did not mention, but we can take a look at the rest of it in the link below. It'll be on Patreon, my scheduling link, payment options, website, that's all below as well. We'll see you in the next one, Sagittarius.